Let's just dive straight into this explainer, guys. We're looking at a situation right now that honestly sounds like a script from a Hollywood crime thriller. But it's not a movie, it is playing out in real time, right on the streets of Melbourne, Australia. We're talking about a sudden, violent, and highly organized assault on the city's nightlife, and the chaos unfolding is moving at a terrifyingly fast pace. Over 30. That is just a staggering number, right? We're talking about more than 30 firebombings, kidnappings, and targeted shootings aimed directly at Melbourne's night spots. And that's just in the last 3 months alone. This isn't some random string of vandalism. It is a relentless daily barrage against local businesses. It's an absolute siege. And the threats backing up this violence, they are incredibly explicit. Take a listen to this actual chilling WhatsApp message sent to multiple venue owners over the last week. I'm going to read this word for word. If you've got this message, we're after you, your family, your business, homes, and soul. We will take it by force if you don't comply. The police can't help you. This message is from the cartel. I mean, just imagine waking up and seeing that on your phone. So let's peel back the very first layer of this onion in part 1, Melbourne's nightlife under attack, the surface of the chaos. To really grasp what's going on, we have to look at the explosive destruction happening right on the streets. Take a recent incident at 3:30 a.m., smack in the middle of the central business district. The Lard nightclub was completely firebombed, and this happened just one day after another bar was physically rammed and petrol bombed. It paints a picture of nightly attacks that are leaving vibrant venues in absolute ruins just hours before dawn. You can only imagine the psychological toll on these business owners, literally just waiting up for the sun to rise. What's really wild is how routine this has become. Night after night, witnesses consistently report seeing vehicles just peeling away from these fiery scenes. Mercifully, at least so far, the targeted buildings have been empty during the actual blasts, so we've avoided massive casualties. But this frequency, it's totally forced the police's hand. They've had to desperately mobilize a special, dedicated task force just to try and keep up with the flames. This brings us to Section 2, the cartel's chilling message, unmasking the threats. We're shifting from the physical fires to the psychological warfare. We keep hearing this term thrown around, right? The cartel. Based on the reports, this is believed to be a highly organized, international crime syndicate, claiming responsibility for the violent extortion of Melbourne's businesses. And they're doing it all through digital platforms like WhatsApp. What's truly audacious, though, is their explicit claim that the police can't help you. It's a calculated, psychological move designed to completely isolate their victims and terrify them into submission. Let's peel the onion back a little further. Section 3. The faces of organized crime. Who is pulling the strings? Reports from The Age, along with insights from former Victorian police officer Alex Christic, give us some incredibly specific intelligence on who's actually running these operations. Authorities are looking extremely closely at a 23-year-old Australian who is reportedly living in Baghdad right now. This individual is allegedly making the threats on behalf of this cartel, and get this, he's also wanted back in Australia in connection with the murder of an underworld figure known as Sam Punisher Abdul Rahim. And this really perfectly illustrates the syndicate's operational structure that former Officer Christic broke down. It's a massive global network with suspected ties to a specific Iraqi group. But locally, the muscle, the people actually throwing the petrol bombs, are often what Christic describes as misguided teenagers and hired goons employed to do the dirty work. And we're seeing this rapid, violent expansion. These groups moved from illicit cigarette trade wars into brothels, and now they are aggressively muscling it on the alcohol and nightlife sector. Which leads us to the absolute core of the issue in Section 4. Why authorities are struggling. The systemic breakdown. Christic highlights a really dangerous paradox here. On one side, you have this public illusion where people perceive they are perfectly safe in their homes. But the grim reality? The public is simply getting used to extreme violence. Because these attacks are happening almost every single day, they're becoming normalized in the city. And that is an incredibly alarming shift in public psychology. So, you're probably asking, why aren't the police shutting this down immediately? Well, former Officer Christic outlines specific systemic roadblocks. First, he notes that police are heavily under-resourced and underfunded to tackle this level of organized terror. Second, he argues that senior police leadership is appointed by the government and bound by government policy, making it incredibly tough for them to speak out. Finally, and this is crucial, Current legislation makes it exceedingly difficult to reach international syndicates who are pulling the strings from overseas. Essentially, officers on the ground are expected to fight the good fight, but with their hands tied behind their backs. All of this leads to a highly concerning forecast. When asked how this plays out in the coming days, Christic's assessment is stark. He says we're looking at, quote, more of the same, and if anything, it'll get worse. These criminal networks know the police struggle to reach them without considerable legislative changes, which establishes exactly why this situation is currently at a critical breaking point. And that brings us to a vital question for all of us. What actually stops the escalation? According to the insights from the former officer, the police and government alone cannot currently control it. His final thought is that only a massive public outcry, literally the public screaming from the rooftops that enough is enough, can force the necessary government and legislative action required to turn the tide here. So it leaves us wondering, what will it actually take for that outcry to happen? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope this breakdown helps you truly understand the intense reality behind the headlines.